Yo, what up? It is another edition of Just a Fan Podcast. Um, we were actually sitting around early this week and we were talking about what we could talk about on today's show because been some moves made, but boy. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I would be remiss before I could, just getting started, and some people are new and uh and they don't know who we are. I'm Pando 316. I'm the good guy with the black hat. Over here, I got Steve Hugh Clefter, incognito, the inventor of the show. He's coming in on over here. We still missing one of our major players on the show because he's still under the weather. Tris TV. But we're going to keep it rolling too deep in here. But anyway, we were talking earlier this week. And, we like, hey, they starting already. We were like, what we going to really cover that's going to be interesting? And today, because that's what we're going to start the show off with. There was a blockbuster trade. I wouldn't call it a blockbuster trade. I would call it a highway robbery. The Houston Texans, who have already made some serious splash. Okay, you know they talk about making a splash in free agency. They doing cannonballs. Okay, the Houston Texans have highway robbed the Buffalo Bills. Okay, of their number one elite wide receiver. We can say he's a top 5 at the very worst top 10 receiver in this league.
Absolutely.
Stephon Diggs is now a Houston Texan. And here's the thing. They only gave up a second rounder next year. Not this year's second rounder. Next year's. So in essence, we know Houston's going to be a good team next year. They're going to be a playoff team, barring a bunch of injuries. So you're basically getting a third rounder, Buffalo, next year. Because that second is going to be so low. That second round is going to be so low that...
But check it. But then Buffalo also gave up 2 draft picks too.
I didn't know about that part.
Yeah.
They gave up Stephon Diggs and 2 draft picks.
They gave up Diggs and a 5th round pick this year and a 6th next year's draft, or a 6th this year and a 5th next year's draft, something like that. Yeah, they gave up 2 picks.
Y'all remember that song by MOP, Annie Up? That's what Houston just did to Buffalo. They rock, and there are people that really think Buffalo came out on top in this deal. Josh Allen does not have a wide receiver room now. Josh Allen is probably somewhere. And then we just finding out that Josh Allen didn't even know about the trade until it hit social media. Josh Allen is probably somewhere about to commit ritualistic Japanese suicide. He gonna get a katana, and but part of it is his fault. He did it to himself. So, but
I blame coaching, man. But I mean, there are folks out here. People just love Josh Allen so much, man. And there are people out here that think it's a good thing, and Diggs is a diva, and this is that and that, and most WR1s, have certain reputation and certain attitude with them. But he's competitive. He wants to win. I'm surprised he was with Buffalo this past season because everyone knew that he wanted out.
He wasn't happy. And a lot of that had to do with the player Josh Allen. Josh Allen, everybody praises Josh Allen. I still think he has potential, but he's got to stop doing the things he's doing because basically what he did is drove Stephon Diggs out of Buffalo. Gabe Davis is no longer there. Stephon Diggs is gone. You got the Shakir kid. He's the only thing left there that was worth anything, but he's like a third option guy. Yeah,
And
go ahead.
Buffalo now has $31 million in dead money.
31 million in dead money.
So
you could not.
There's no way you can slice this that this is a good thing for Buffalo.
There's no scenario. There is no scenario. I agree with you, Steve. There is no scenario where you can explain this to me to where Buffalo came out on top in this trade and we go, okay, there's no
right.
There's no scenario where that happens.
Right.
Houston made off like gangbusters. Nico Collins already had a really good year last year. Now he's being relegated to being the number 2, which is going to make him that much more dangerous now because he's not got the primary look anymore. Okay. CJ Stroud has proven that he can read the entire field. Tank Dell is now going to be relegated to focusing on just being the slot guy and returning kicks. You got Dalton Schultz at tight end. Brevin Jordan's your second tight end. And Joe Mixon's your running back in a Shanahan derivative offense. Like I believe somebody posted a second ago at the bottom. That's what it was. It said the Houston 49ers, basically. And dare I say it, at this point, the Houston Texans could challenge for one of the best rosters in the NFL going into this season.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Top to bottom, they can challenge for one of the best rosters in the season in the league. And the thing is, somebody said earlier, it's like, man, Houston's going to be a problem for their division. Dude, you're not looking at the big picture. Houston's about to be the problem for the league. Forget the AFC South. That's almost handed to. Okay, we hadn't made our picks yet, but you know what it is. You cannot look at that.
Yeah,
teams are done in that division and not pick Houston Texans to win that division. Okay, they're going to win that division again, and they're going to threaten for the AFC.
They are.
Won a playoff game, earned a home playoff game, won that playoff game in convincing fashion with less than what they have now.
Yep.
Come on, man. If I go hunting and I kill a bear with a toothpick, what you think I'm going to do when I get a rifle? That's all I'm saying. So it's, basically, they talk about Super Bowl windows, and I know I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but Super Bowl windows, the Super Bowl windows open. And they close. Man. Houston has kicked a hole in the side of the house.
Yes.
With the moves that they've made
and they have some time. They have some time, man, to get to where they want to get as an organization, as a competitive organization, man.
There's so many things to unwrap here with this move today. Because here's the thing: if you look at Houston's roster right now, without draft picks, they ready to hit the field right now and win a bunch of games. So in essence, that means the guys that they draft later on this month, they're not going to have to be asked to do a whole lot as rookies. They're going to have time to develop.
I kind of want to see.
Absolutely.
D'Amico's going to bring some.
Eric James, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. He's spot on.
Yeah.
They could threaten this conference.
D'Amico's going to bring in some defensive dogs in this draft. You already know.
And if he
already know.
And he's going to coach him up. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. So he's going to coach up what he's got, and he's going to bring in more talent. And then these guys are going to get a chance to come along slowly that they draft because, again, these guys are not going to get forced into action unless there's some injuries. So their entire draft class could just kind of just chill.
Yeah. I mean, now we did say a few shows back, if I'm a veteran and I already got paid and I want to win, I want to go to either KC or Houston. And this is what's happening. We did not see this coming for sure.
Yeah, Nick Caserio has done a bang up job as a GM there. He's been aggressive when he needs to be, and at the same time he's been conservative when he needs to be, because that's the balance that you have to find. You got some GMs that sit on their butt, don't do anything. You got some GMs that are over aggressive and they overpay and they do too much, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? So he's found that balance, and I'm impressed. And people who really follow the inner workings of the Texans organization, they're like, hey man, this is what a good GM does. He's dedicated to making the Houston Texans a contending team.
Man, yeah, and it's funny because there were reports last summer on how difficult it would be for the Bills to trade Diggs because of his contract extension. Now, I'm going to assume I'm not sure if he had a no trade clause or not. I have no idea why they would trade him in conference to a serious competitor. But like we said, man, they like $8 million and some change the Bills are going to pay this year in dead cap, and then the rest next year's season, 2025 season. So I just, if you're a Bills fan, you're like, I'm concerned if I'm a Bills fan.
There's a cause for serious concern in that building because something's going on. We don't really know. It'll come out in the wash later. But right now, where I just said a few minutes ago that Houston's Super Bowl window is kicked wide open, Buffalo has slammed their window shut. They super glued it, they caulked it, and then they put nails in it with this move.
Yeah, I agree, man.
I don't see Buffalo as a viable contender for even that division, let alone, live from the sick ward. Give it up for Tris TV. Tris TV is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. He likes to make an entrance. That's what he does. He's got a little diva in him. He don't want to come in on time. He comes in when he feel like it. Tris TV, give it up, ladies and gentlemen.
Crazy, man.
What do you have to say about this Diggs situation, Tris TV?
First of all, Wednesdays are Bible study. I keep telling y'all that.
We thought you were sick, man.
I'm still sick, but I'm still going to attend my Bible study. But in regards to the Diggs situation, listen, big come up by the Houston Texans for sure. D'Amico and them boys on there, they've been putting in work all season. This was great. And listen, the Bills knew that this was probably their best option. To give up a second round pick in a 2025 draft. They knew Stephon Diggs wanted out, so it wasn't going to be a huge ransom for him, even though he's still a top talent. I think D'Amico, they're doing what I feel like more franchises are supposed to do. When you get a star quality quarterback, what made him the number 2 pick in the draft? What made him a star at Ohio State? He had weapons around him. You put him in a system where he can basically be a point guard and deliver where he needs to deliver to his playmakers. Let playmakers make plays. And when he had to be a playmaker, he would make the necessary play. And so I believe, looking at the injuries that the Texans dealt with last year, D'Amico was like, we need to give this guy some more firepower because if we give him the tools, he's going to deliver, and he showed it.
Man,
look at what was given. Look at what he did with the little that he had. His best weapon got hurt in the middle of the season, and people forget that this guy was on an MVP. He was on an MVP arc, let alone offensive rookie of the year, and then he missed a few games. Now, what did you do? You gave the extension to Schultz, so now you got his security blanket tight end. You got Joe Mixon. You know that he can catch the football, good in pass protection, and can run the football. You got a good offensive line. You shored up your left tackle spot. Then you're getting both your receivers in Nico Collins, Tank Dell. Then you went to go get Stephon Diggs. So you got 3 potential number 1s or maybe like 1As, 1Bs surrounding this guy who already can make plays with his legs, make good decisions.
Yes.
And has protection. Then you also went and shored up your defensive side of the ball. So you've made this weapon. So the only thing that's really going to slow them down is really, injuries, and knock on wood that their key pieces, stay healthy. But you looked at what made him successful at Ohio State, and you said, that's what I'm going to build my team around. That's how you build your team around your franchise QB.
Yes.
You got a star at the most important position in the sport. You do the things to make sure your star shines bright, and that's what they did. It's a plus effort all around with the offseason. Now, as far as now on the contrary side, with the Buffalo Bills, I told y'all that window was done. When I said that window's closed because they cannot keep everybody.
Yeah.
We knew Stephon Diggs was disgruntled. We knew the cap hits that they were going to take. They lost their best corner. their 2 safeties, your number 1 receiver, your number 2 receiver. They're basically starting from scratch.
Oh yeah.
So
You know,
this is going to be a big blow for the Buffalo Bills. They're definitely going to be taking a step back for sure. But I think Stephon Diggs
It's
going
not a
down
step
there,
back. They not even stepping no more. They in a wheelchair.
exactly. But
You know-
this was a great move by the Texans. I'm excited. I'm not even a Texans fan, but I'm excited to watch them because I think it's just, outside of injury, I just think they're going to do really, really well. CJ Stroud got the right stuff. I don't think he's going to have that sophomore slump. But even if he does dip a little bit, you've put a team around him that can pick him up while he goes through his growing pains. I mean, it's brilliant work.
Yeah. And I mean, we look at the great quarterbacks, the successful teams as far as winning Super Bowls and get to conference championships. They all have good defenses because all the team needs to do, all the defense needs to do is get the quarterback enough opportunities. It's not like CJ Stroud came out here and scored every single drive that he's had, but the defense has been good enough to give him opportunities to score points, man. And now it's going to be easier for him to do that because the defense has gotten better. They'll continue to get better, and they were already great. And now he has veteran weapons in Mixon and Diggs. Like, man, I know Houston fans are elated at this offseason, man. And it's long overdue for them to feel this way.
Yeah, because Houston has been mismanaged since the beginning of the franchise in 2002. It's been horribly mismanaged. I live in the city. I'm sitting up here watching like, why would they do that? Why would they do that? Every year is why would they do that? When you talk about the offseason moves that the Texans have done, or even within the season. And for the first time in the history of this franchise, you got a wow, they did that. It's no longer a why did they do that? It's a wow, they did that. Wow, they did that. So it's really impressive to see the moves that are being made. You got solid coaching. You got a smart GM. Again, knows how to balance his aggressiveness and conservatism. He knows to be, hey man, I'm not finna go do all of this, but we're gonna go get this guy because he can help us, but we're not gonna break the bank. And still have a plethora of draft picks. Honestly, I could be wrong about this. They got enough draft picks, they could package some of these picks and move up and go get some more studs in the draft. They really could. I really believe that.
Yeah, they're scary, man. I would hate to be in the AFC South right now
because they're playing with house money at this point. In the draft, not when it comes to the draft. Like you have some teams, they gotta hit on most of their draft picks, if not all of them.
Yeah,
Houston is and they're in a position right now where they don't have to hit on their draft picks. Though those guys don't have to be surefire, ready to go guys day one. They can be developmental guys. Mm-hmm. They sitting back in the draft room like, hey, you want to take this guy? Yeah, he's pretty good. Go ahead, let's take him. It's no longer, man. We got to make sure we go. Ooh, we got to
hit on everyone.
Yeah, they ain't got to do that.
This the right guy? I don't know.
Yeah, right. The pressure's off. Right. But segueing.
Okay, Cleveland, that's what's up, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like I said, look, I already said it off the air. Texans fans, they just
don't.
Yeah, don't say it. Okay. Texas fans have not experienced this level of pleasure.
We get on Rumble. We get on Rumble. You can say it, but not here.
I can say it on Rumble. I can't say it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've not experienced this level of pleasure in the history of this franchise. But segueing into that, staying within that division because of the fallout. Because of the fallout of this trade, Buffalo has been knocked down. They're no longer looking like a viable contender for that division. But because of that, you have Hassan Reddick, who just got a deal with the Jets, and a healthy Aaron Rodgers coming back. Now the Jets don't look so goofy after all this coming year. So now they can threaten for maybe that second place spot. Because I still think Miami is a stronger team in that division. But the Jets are now players now. Healthy Aaron Rodgers. You got a Hassan Reddick. Reddick Airlines because he's the Jet. Okay, we get it. Yeah, but Buffalo's honestly, I don't see them like New England's rebuilding. Buffalo is obviously on a fire sale mode. So that leaves two teams. You got the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets in that division. And with the addition of Hassan Reddick, which originally looked like, hey, I'm just trying to get my bag. I don't care who I play for, just whoever going to pay me the most. But now they look like they can make a little noise. So,
yeah. So, the Jets, man, well, we know the Bills. Well, we're not doing like our predictions yet, but they've been knocked down a few slots in the division. The Jets, man, they're ready to roll. They're in win now mode. And Miami's good too, but I feel like this is probably one of Aaron Rodgers' last season, if not his last season. And I see them making more moves this offseason. They want to win. They want to win now. They want to win now, man. So it's gonna be interesting over there, man. Miami, they'll still be good, but the Jets, because Jets almost made the playoffs last year. So if they, we obviously assume they'll be better because Aaron Rodgers is going to start the season healthy. But we'll see what happens, man. But that was a great deal picking up Reddick, man. He's a beast.
Yeah, and that actually kind of weakens the a little bit. It kind of weakens the Eagles, but we're gonna stay within division.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, the Eagles, they were on life support at the end of the year anyway, and Tampa Bay and the Fighting Baker Mayfield just pulled the plug.
Man, listen, man. Kind of. Kelsey retired. Fletcher Cox retired. Reddick's gone. More moves have been made. I know Brandon's not on to explain all that, but they're definitely they lost some very big pieces, man. Very big pieces.
I'm not gonna even argue that point with you because you're right. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue that point. You're right. So, but staying within the division on a more solemn note, 35-year-old Vontae Davis, former cornerback for the Buffalo Bills, who was known infamously for retiring at halftime in the game, was found dead in his home a couple of days ago. And there's still a lot of investigating going on. Now, Tristan and Steve, I know you guys are from the area where he grew up, so y'all look a little bit closer to this than I would be. If y'all would like to, y'all can say a few things about Vontae Davis. He's the younger brother of All-Pro tight end Vernon Davis, who's also retired. But he's from the DMV. So
yeah. So yeah, man. So he's found in his in his grandmother's home technically, but it was a mansion. So I'm assuming the brothers bought it for her. Found in the home. There's still a lot of investigation on what happened. They say there's no foul play, but 35-year-old man. I've met Vernon a couple times. Hanging out in the area years ago. Never met Vontae. Met some of his friends, but this is a sad situation, man. He's pretty heavy in the community, even still. Real hands-on, man. Small businesses in the community. So it's just tragic, man. 35, it's the DMV's down bad right now a little bit, man. We're losing some important people, man.
I can just imagine what it's like to basically lose a teammate or just a friend, a brother in arms. But I know it hits a little bit closer to home from people from that area because just hanging out with you guys and getting to know you guys, the DMV is a very strong football community from high school on up. So, it's kind of like how we are in Texas. But I'm just kind of in shock, and I really would like to find out what what happened and what's going on, and and I don't want to make any speculation or any guessing about it. We like to really find out what happened to that brother. So, but Vontae Davis, he was a heck of a cornerback. He had a few Pro Bowl seasons. But yeah, so let's move on to the living. Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice, wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. Rashee Rice and some friends were caught drag racing in Dallas. One in a Lamborghini, the other one in a Corvette, caused a 6-car crash and fled the scene of the accident. Fortunately, no one was killed in this accident, thankfully.
Yes.
And I don't really call it accident, it's a crash, because when people just being irresponsible, it's not an accident. It's just plans you made that other people weren't prepared for. But Rashee Rice, he made a statement earlier today saying he's plans on cooperating with the Dallas Police Department, and
you have no choice. Yeah,
right, exactly. That's why I was going next. It's like you fled the scene of an accident that you caused. You obviously were speeding to where you got to the point of where it was out of control, and you damaged several people's vehicles and several people. That is what we call reckless endangerment. And if I'm not mistaken, for those of you in law enforcement that are watching, that is a Class C felony once bodily injury has been involved with it. So you have reckless endangerment, reckless driving, flee the scene of an accident. And here's the messed up part about it. When all this is said and done, mark my words, he's going to get a slap on the wrist, like maybe a 4 to 6 game suspension from the league. This is in the wake of Henry Ruggs actually killing someone doing almost the same thing. We don't know if there was drugs or alcohol involved because they fled the scene, and by that time, all that stuff is out of their system. So that you ain't gonna get an accurate toxicology report. So, but
I mean, they fled this. It was like, I don't know how many, like 4 or 5 of them, maybe 6 of them. Like if 2 cars, probably 4 of them. Walking down the freeway like they just crashed some bikes or something. They just like walked off. Now,
like it was nothing. They didn't run. They walked.
They just like, oh,
yeah.
Now, we don't know what was going on. There's a reason why they fled. I like to think, obviously, you know, we have the intel. Dallas has the intel to determine who has what vehicle, who is registered to cameras and stuff, to track, you know, who was driving down. There's a reason why they didn't wait around for law enforcement.
Yeah.
You know, and that remains mysterious.
I think
we might never know.
I think, honestly, it would have been worse had they stayed around, because we'd have found out some stuff that we're no longer going to be able to find out,
right? Because
so much time has passed.
Right.
I believe that's what happened. Right. So the thing is the grand scheme of things, is the rookie symposium really working? Because
I like to think so.
I just
no, I mean, it can't work on everybody, right?
Right, but it's just this is so irresponsible. If I'm not mistaken, Rashee Rice, his draft stock dropped because of his off the field behavior before he got drafted. He probably would have been drafted much higher if it had been for his reputation, you know. So it's like it's really irresponsible behavior. You know, don't do it because you got it. And a lot of these young guys, they get this, well, I got it, so I'm gonna do it. And it's like that doesn't make sense in the long game. And you got all of these veterans who show up to this rookie symposium, who can tell you their true life stories about, hey man, don't do this. I did this, it didn't end well for me. I'm just barely getting back on my feet. And they don't listen. I'm gonna just do whatever I want to do.
Yeah, you know, I think it's working, man. I mean, obviously, you know, like everyone is not going to behave properly. You know what I'm saying? He went to SMU, which is located in Dallas. I'm sure a situation where he was hanging out with friends and made some really stupid decisions. But I mean, I want to say it's probably working, man. I think this is a semi-isolated incident. I mean, it's not happening all over the league as far as like players and rookies now. But it's just something messy that happened, man. Another young star player.
I agree.
Receiver again for some reason.
I agree. I think that Henry Ruggs situation had a lot more of an impact than people might think. Because you got to understand, Henry Ruggs was a budding star for the Raiders, and when you think about the season that he had before that, that offseason, I mean, one could almost say that the Raiders' fortunes were altered because of him going to prison, because of the kind of threat that he was on the perimeter. So I think that did shake up a lot of people more than we think, and I think this was isolated. Rashid Weiss, he had some red flags coming out. Is why he got drafted in the second round.
Right.
A lot of people thought he would have been a late first round pick coming out of SMU.
Yeah.
I know I saw an article that someone said that Keyshawn Johnson was somebody that was like one of his mentors, and Keyshawn came out and said that he was really upset with him because, just making bonehead decisions. And he was like that, he hasn't, returned his calls or anything yet. So hopefully, he does. But, because that's somebody to really be able to lean on. Keyshawn had his own, not necessarily like outside troubles, but he was a bit of a wild card a little bit.
Hot, young hot shot,
Exactly. So you would hope that, he'd take heed to what someone like Keyshawn wants to advise to him. So I do think this is like more like a one-off, because we haven't really heard of any of these kids, these younger players now doing anything really like reckless when you're out here. We just heard like one or two players here and there. These young players have pretty much been about their business.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's what? How many players in the league? 53 times, 1,500. I mean, you may get like three, 4, 5 cases a year. Somebody doing something bad. It can be domestic. It can be traffic related. So I think the league's getting a little better when it comes to that. But hey, man, you can't touch everybody, man. You can't reach everybody. As educated, you can't reach everybody.
No, you can't. You can't say that. I'm gonna throw this question out here to you guys.
Okay.
Just playing devil's advocate. I think I know what the answer is, but I just want to know what you guys think. You're the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you do?
You probably got to wait till the investigation really goes through and then figure it out from there. I mean, as of right now, I mean, all signs point that they're probably going to try and get one of these receivers in the draft because it's such an elite class. But as of right now, he's your best perimeter weapon outside of Travis Kelce on that team. So you're not just going to dump him. Like I said, a guy that had first round talent that fell into the second. You ain't just going to drop him, but you want to see how much was his involvement with this, and then take it from there as far as the repercussions. You might even let like you said, because you think the league might do a slap on the wrist and suspend him a few games. You might just let the league do that and let the league just handle that and handle it in-house.
And that's what I think. That's what I think is going to happen. I think the league is going to they're going to slap on the wrist about 4 to 6 games. And I think, honestly, that was already the plan in place anyway for Kansas City to go ahead and draft one of these, since such as a deep class, draft maybe even a few of these wide receivers. I can see that. So even without, let's say this Rashee Rice thing does not even happen, I still think it was in their plans to draft a receiver.
Let me say this. So they picked up Hollywood Brown, right? We also got to factor in. We also got to factor in the situation with Andy Reid's son. So don't be surprised if he has a harsher in-house penalty than what the league may do, because now it's looking like, yes, you're champions over and over again, but
you don't have a control over your
So Reid may have some pressure under him about what happened with his son, and then, responding in a way to make him look a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like something else can happen here.
And Andy Reid does not. He's never been afraid of taking players that are a bit sketchy, a bit wild like that.
Yeah.
So it could be the Urban Meyer Florida effect. That was the thing with them, with the boosters and stuff in Florida.
Yeah.
As long as you win, we ain't gonna bother you. But when you start losing and your players are acting up, we gotta make an example out of you. Now, I ain't saying now everybody know that the boosters and stuff in college football have a lot more power than the NFL ranks. So I ain't saying like Andy Reid gonna lose his job or anything.
No.
But it is something to say that they'll take a look at Andy a little bit, or at least give him a conversation like, hey man, we understand you winning these chips and all, but your guys can't be out of control.
Yeah. And Andy may not. I'm not saying that he's gonna get cut, but don't be surprised if Andy feels forced to make an example. You know what I'm saying, for his reputation. But we don't know. Again, the investigation still has to come out. They're still not finished with all of that. So we're gonna see, man. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting, man.
Yeah. So, for the second half of the show, we have our green room guy, Brandon, compiled a list of potential high earners within this particular year or going into the next year that are going to have significant repercussions for their respective franchises, whether they stay there or move on, because what the market is going to demand for their contract. And I'm going to name some names. I think he left off a couple of names, but I'm going to name there's another. I know there's a name I see that's not on here, but we're going to get started. Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboys. He's got his 5th-year option picked up, but what happens after that? Thoughts?
Man, I don't like doing this because we don't know. He's already locked in for this upcoming season. We got to keep him. As far as contract, we give him how long, I can't even speak on that because Dallas, we are cash strapped right now. That's a penalty given curse for drafting well. I don't know, man. I do not know. We got to pay and extend CD at some point. Dak might get one.
He's actually, you're naming names that I'm going to next.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But they're all contingent. They all connect, man. Because
it all plays. It's all hand in hand.
Yeah, because people are like, required free agency. We don't have any money, man.
Here's the thing. So here's 2 things I want to consider in this, because we have to look at this with just about every situation and every team. Number one, yes, you have a list of guys that you need that are going to be big time earners. The market's going to be reset. Just talking about Dallas. So honestly, I don't know how you're going to be able to keep all 3, because you're right. You're strapped for cash. Here's the good news, though. The way that the salary cap is constantly expanding and getting bigger every year with these different media contracts for the shared revenue for the league, it may not, if it's structured right, it may still be possible to extend Micah Parsons, extend CeeDee Lamb, and give Dak Prescott his extension. Now, here's the next question. We're going to go ahead and skip over to Dak Prescott. Do you want to give Dak Prescott $60 million?
Listen, you know my answer to that. But I'll say
I know your answer, but the folks at home don't.
The answer is going to be no. It's not about Dak's ability. I need some folks to put a little bit more respect on Dak's name, and I'm critical of Dak, but he had a good season, him not getting it done in the playoffs. Listen, that has been the case. This past postseason playoffs, we know it was defense. If you watch the actual game, people love to hate Dak, but he actually played a really good game. Now $60 million, no, he is not worth that. So that's my answer. No, the $60 million.
Okay, so here's the issue. Okay, and I hear you. He's not worth 60 million. But what happens to him getting this deal? I mean, excuse me, when his deal comes up and the market has shifted that way. So would you say somewhere in the high 40s?
Honestly, I wouldn't say that. And my only reason is I think he's a really good player. I just feel like we have several players that are top 10 at their position that we need to pay. And, if it's up to me, we can develop. I hate saying this right now. Maybe it's time for Trey Lance to develop. We cannot pay Dak $60 million. We got to pay legit all pros. Got to pay CD. Got to keep Zach Martin happy. Got to pay Trevon Diggs. We got to pay Micah Parsons, obviously. Like, we got people we have to play, man, that are all pros, man, and that come with the market. So that's just my take on it, man.
Okay,
the Cowboys are that there's a reality that's going to have to set in where Dak Prescott, if you line up all the players that are due money on that roster, Steve just mentioned a couple of them, CD, Micah, you're going to have to make a hard choice of having Dak Prescott possibly walk out that door. In some cases, it might seem crazy because you have an upper echelon QB. And when I mean upper echelon, I don't mean like he's top 5. I mean, he's in the upper half of the QBs in the league.
I would say that.
So it's hard. So it's hard to just say like, oh, well, we're going to do that. Because even when you looked at someone like Tony Romo put up great numbers. But it was easy to transfer away from Tony Romo because Tony Romo's body was breaking down on him. So it was easy to say, well, we got to go with Dak because Tony Romo he's Mr. Glass now. Outside of the ankle injury and a couple other stuff, Dak's been pretty solid. So you're legit saying, oh, I'm going to have to go away from a perennial Pro Bowler at the quarterback position because he has not been enough to get me over the hump, and I got to pay these guys that are all world. You're not letting Micah Parsons walk out the door. You're not letting CeeDee Lamb walk out the door because you could tell that CeeDee is starting to come into his own. So you're not doing that.
First team all-pro
these guys are exactly. So you know that's coming. So who's the casualty? In any other circumstance, you would give Dak that money. But because you're the Dallas Cowboys, because you have the roster that you have, you can't do it. And it's unfortunate because you still, in my opinion, you have a backup in Trey Lance who still, in my opinion, is an unproven commodity. I understand the physical tools are there, but it's still an unproven commodity. And I mean, right now, as far as I look at him, he's the black Carson Wentz, basically. That's how I look at him. It might sound harsh, but that's my reality.
No, I was gonna say Kirk Cousins.
Listen, let me finish my thought. I'm saying, reason why I'm saying it, I'm not saying he sucks, but I'm saying all I know right now is the physical tools. I don't know how much he can put it together. It's a product of Kyle Shanahan and that the staff's not really investing, I think, the way they should have. But we got to see it. It's an out of sight, out of mind complex. So the last thing I'm picturing in my head is what I saw. So that's
wait, you were talking about Trey Lance.
Yes,
Trey
Lance.
Oh, okay.
You have that. The next year's draft class of QBs. First of all, Dallas ain't never going to be bad enough to be in a position to get into like the top 5 or whatever for whatever QB that's up there. And the QB class is not what this QB class is. I'm already telling y'all that from jump. Okay. Your next good QB class is probably 2026 or 2027 leading, and the person that's going to lead that charge is Arch Manning. So that is the situation you're dealing with, is that you may have to think of decreasing your value in your QB for the sake of your roster staying intact.
Yeah,
because somebody got to be out.
So I'm with you. Let me just add to your sense. So, a couple things. You said a lot right there. Trey Lance, so Carson Wentz, actually, the Eagles organization messed up that whole situation with Nick Foles and that run. That's a different thing. Trey Lance hasn't had the opportunity he hasn't had the same opportunities as Carson Wentz. And me as a Cowboys fan, I need McCarthy gone for Lance to develop. I need that 100% if he's going to develop. That we'll see what happens with that. Another thing, I think, and this is probably another show, but I think Dallas is going to struggle this year big time. Too many positions to address. No money to bring in free agents. McCarthy's still there. We take a big step back this year, in my opinion. We still squeaking, but it's not. This will not be a 12-win season again.
They're gonna have to hit on their draft picks to make this season salvageable, in my opinion. Like
sure.
it's gonna have to be like that class when they got Travis Frederick and all them. That draft that they did, that was like immaculate. It was a great draft for them. It's got to hit like that for them to, because like you said, y'all don't have any money to do any good free agent splash. There's nothing really out there in the market right now. Because I remember it was so funny listening to Stephen Jones the other day when he was like, "Oh well, there's still the June 1st, free agency when that kicks in June 1st." I'm like, there ain't nobody else out there. Who y'all getting that's of any kind of impact?
Yeah,
So
I was about to say that. Yeah, after June 1st, there's not a lot out there.
Listen, we take a step back this year. We've had 3 consecutive 12-win seasons. We take a big step back this year. And I'm okay with that because that will mean, and I pray that this means that Mike McCarthy is no longer our coach. I really hope that happens.
If you believe that Mike McCarthy should be fired, or the other way around, if you believe Dak Prescott should be paid, or the other way around, please comment. We like to hear your comments on that. So moving along, keeping it in line with the CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk wide receivers for a second. CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Brandon left off the list. Brandon Ayuk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These are all top 5 receivers, pretty much.
For sure.
Okay, and the market has been completely reset about 2 years ago by an idiot named Trent Baalke, who basically overpaid Kurt, and that's where it started, and it's been going like that ever since. So we're looking at receivers getting closer and closer, inching closer to 30 million a year right now. And we could see. No, I don't miss Trent Baalke. I want him to go away because he's hurting other teams, and he's not even with my team anymore. I hate Trent Baalke. He's a horrible GM, but they're gonna learn in Duval down there. But guys like CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, these guys are arguably top 5 receivers. And then you bring in Brandon Ayuk, he's in that top 5 in that class.
You just named them all. You just named them all.
They're probably the top 5. You leave Stephon Diggs out of it because he just got his deal and everything.
Let's go for production from last year. You named all 5 of them and put Puka in there. And you named them all. From last year. Yeah.
So these guys, and they're all in a position where they're in their careers where they can continue, they can get better. They haven't peaked yet. I really feel like Brandon Ayuk has not peaked yet. Jamar Chase has not peaked yet. Justin Jefferson has not peaked yet. I don't even think CeeDee Lamb has peaked yet. So
I think CeeDee has.
So you think that's gonna be
Nah, physically, he looked like a grown up last year for the first time. I don't think he's peaked yet. I think he's a late bloomer.
Right, but I think he's at his peak. I don't think he can. I mean,
I think he can be better.
He led the league in receiving yards last year. I mean,
I think he could be better. I really do. Based on what I saw last year, I think there's another level he can go.
So when I think peak, I'm talking about being a lot more physical, getting a lot stronger, getting a lot faster. Receivers, they get in the league, they don't get faster. Their peak speed is when they're rookies. He's not getting faster. He's had more targets and taking advantage, but he's first team all pro. I mean, I think that's his peak. If he can do it again, that's great. And again, that's great, but we won't see him get stronger. He won't get faster. And that's how I measure a receiver's peak, in my opinion. Yeah, all the targets. Go ahead.
So moving off of CeeDee Lamb, we're talking about Justin Jefferson. His situation is a little bit different because now he doesn't have the question mark is his quarterback. How productive the receivers only can be as productive as his quarterback in most cases.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about, is Justin Jefferson worth the money that he's going to demand for Minnesota to pay him, or are they going to try to shuffle him off somewhere? I think they've made the commitment in Cincinnati to Jamar Chase by franchising T. Higgins and letting Tyler Boyd walk. They've made a statement. They're saying we're going to keep Jamar Chase.
Jamar's going to get his money.
That statement was made by the other moves that they made. So we're going to put this money aside. We're going to take care of him. In San Francisco, there's still room. Oh, they're going to trade Brandon Ayuk, and I'm like, they're not going to trade Brandon Ayuk. The only problem I have with San Francisco is they wait too late to sign their big name players. Every time a big name player in San Francisco gets re-signed, it's like July or August. And what happens is the market gets reset and they end up overpaying for when they could have paid less money if they'd have just went ahead and closed the deal sooner. Yeah. When John Lynch says we're dedicated to retaining this person, and he has said that, every time he said that, he's kept that person. They've re-signed him. They take long as hell, but they've kept him. So the Brandon Ayuk trade stuff, that needs to go out the window. But if you really want to talk about a big name receiver that could possibly be on the move because of the situation, might be Justin Jefferson.
So let me say this. I really think Minnesota got rid of Kirk Cousins because him and Jefferson's chemistry was amazing, man. The targets, the yards they got as a unit were incredible. I feel like Minnesota is trying to lowball Jefferson, and they had to get rid of Kirk Cousins first. Because what's going to happen this year is they're going to bring in a rookie quarterback, and Jefferson's numbers will be down probably for several different reasons, and then they can pay him not what he's worth.
So you're saying, okay, I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah. I do.
So you're saying they're going to be like, well, Justin, your numbers were down this season.
I believe there's no reason why they should have traded Kirk Cousins to the Falcons, man.
So we're going to offer you this deal.
Yeah, I mean, he balled. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I mean, this may sound crazy. He is a top 10 quarterback in this league. He is.
Kirk Cousins is consistent with his numbers, man.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
He might not make the playoff victories and stuff, but if you're a receiver, you want to play with Kirk Cousins.
Dude, you're gonna get targets. And fantasy every year, I have Kirk Cousins on one of my teams.
Yeah,
because he's gonna get you numbers.
Yeah, I had him in one of my
Justin
leagues.
Jefferson benefited from Kirk Cousins being there. He got crazy numbers, man. I think ability wise, he's top 3, top 4, top 5. But with the rookie quarterback coming in, I think a system, they're gonna be down. It's a win-win because Minnesota can still keep a top tier receiver for a very low price and they can justify it because his numbers are down.
Okay,
or they will be down.
So here's me playing devil's advocate.
Okay.
What if Justin Jefferson is smart enough to see that and he's like, no, sir, I know my worth.
Well, go for it.
I know my numbers are down because you gave me this rookie quarterback that can't pull P out of boot without instructions.
Oh, listen, he's got the leverage to do that.
He does.
Yeah. There's not a team. If the team has the cap room, a team is going to get him. That's not a thing.
And that's where my mind is going. That's why I think he could be on the move more than any of these other receivers.
He does.
CeeDee Lamb's going to be back in Dallas. Jamar Chase is going to be back in Cincinnati. Brandon Ayuk is going to be back in San Francisco. But Justin Jefferson is the one I think that could possibly be on the move because of that. Because I think he knows his worth, and it's like, no, well, Justin, we're going to give you this because your numbers were down. No, you gave me a rookie quarterback that don't know nothing. I think if I were him right now in his camp, I would 100% hold out until I get an extension, a crazy extension, or this is radical. I think he's one of the few guys that could sit out a year and still get top dollar next year.
For sure.
He's one of the few guys that has proven, like you said, Tristan, he has credibility. He could do that. He could do that.
Honestly, if I'm Kansas City, I'm gambling it. You want my 32nd pick this year? I'll give you that. You want a second or a first next year, and I'll give you that too.
Yeah.
That'd be
do it.
tough right there. That would be
It'd be tough. It'd be tough. But if
man,
if the cap money can, if I have the cap room to do it, and they want to trade, I trade my 2 first. I trade my first this year and my first next year. Put him
wow.
on my squad.
And there's some teams. There's some teams he can go to, man.
2
Only
first.
Kansas City
Get
for
that
that.
bread
Yeah,
and them targets.
because Kansas City, the way Kansas City is constructed right now, that pick ain't gonna be no higher than the 20s. They can sacrifice that for a bona fide number one.
Which they haven't had.
Not if
since-
and or not if or maybe bona fide top 3 receiver in the league to pair with Patrick Mahomes while Travis Kelce's on his way out. You could put any number 2 receiver next to him.
Listen, we talking right now, right? Cap wise, there's some contenders that Jay Jettis can go to right now. Get paid a lot, be on a winning team, and get targets. I'm gonna name them. I'm gonna name a few. Chargers, Lions.
Yep.
Both have cap. They can give him signing bonus right now of 20 mil and then back in his deal. Right now, they can do it. They're both in top 10 in cap. So we'll see, man. We're gonna see.
If I'm Kansas City, I'm making the call. You want 2 first?
And then
or
then you
first
can
and second?
restructure.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was saying if they were doing it as a trade, you want 2 first? You want my first this year and next year, or a first and a second for him?
That's rich for me. I give up a first this year.
It's rich, but for that team specifically, Kansas City, that's one.
Yeah, I do a first.
I'm not
and
saying
second,
any
and
team
then-
can afford that, but
Yeah,
Kansas
and a
City can afford to do
restructure.
that.
Restructure
Yes.
Mahomes deal.
Yep.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. They can do that, man. They can do that there. And Mahomes will be fully on board. He may forfeit a year salary.
He'd be fully
Bring him
on
to
board.
the team.
The endorsements he got on the outside
After he's had
good.
After he's
Bro.
had Kadarius Toney on his roster for a year, I'm sure he'd be jumping up and down for that.
Listen, man, he can forfeit. He can do some adjustments on his end, man. He
To
can even have a
say that we
Bobby
can get
P deal.
Jettis, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
so-
crazy.
But yeah, I could definitely see out of all those receivers, I could see Justin Jefferson on the move out of all of those. Because the other ones, I think they're going to be pretty much locked in. Like I said, there's still trade speculation surrounding Brandon Ayuk, but there was trade speculation surrounding Deebo Samuel a couple of years ago, and he's right there in San Francisco.
That's what I told somebody before on Twitter when they were saying that. I'm like, Brandon Ayuk is not leaving that building.
No. And he's like, he said he wanted to play for a champion. I'm like, he's an NFC champion right now. Like, your coach kept you from winning a Super Bowl, but your best chance of winning a championship and still getting paid is right where you at. Like, seriously. And you gotten 1,300 yards on a run first offense. Like, dude, just chill. I know you're emotional right now. Hell, Deebo Samuel was talking about asking for a trade 2 years ago. Now he just as happy as a bug in a rug with his $28 million. So, but I think these receiver contracts are they're going to start reaching into the 30s pretty soon. I really believe so. When Justin Jefferson gets his new deal, it's going to be somewhere around 30.
Yeah, man.
CD, Jamar Chase, it's going to be somewhere around 30.
And he worth every penny.
Yeah,
So even
and I'm not disputing that at all because they all work. These guys are good. These guys are really good. Yeah,
even the Packers can afford Jefferson.
Packers could, but I know the Packers they're loyal with just building their team through the draft. They
got a bunch of young, really up and coming talented receivers, and they gave the league hell with those young guys who are going to do nothing but get better.
Christian Watson was monster before he got hurt.
Yeah, but listen, man, ain't nobody say no to a Jefferson deal, man. If they can afford it.
I know, but they can. But I just don't.
Yeah, but they're not going to trade.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying who can afford them. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but
I just really think Kansas City should really go after what y'all went through last year. You still want to chip? I would do it.
Yeah. They can
Yeah,
work it if
so
they wanted to. We'll see.
yeah, these deals are going to reset the market. What we have to look at is you have irresponsible GMs that want to sign third tier wide receivers to big deals. That's when it becomes a problem, because what ends up happening is, and I'm gonna go back to his name again. Brandon, don't put his name up here, but Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke will sign somebody like a third tier receiver to like a $23 million deal, and everybody's like, what? So you got guys like CD and Justin and Jamar and Brandon Ayuk that are looking at these guys get a deal. It's like, hey man, that dude just got 23 and he can't hold my jock. And look what I've done and what I'm about to do. And no, I'm not going to take 24. I'm not going to take 25. That dude just got 23. So that's the issue with the market being reset, because these guys are looking. They like, I know I'm better than this guy, so I should get way more money than this guy. So when they try to lowball these elite guys, they're like, no. They just, prime example, Michael Pittman's deal in Indianapolis.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of sort of is skewing things now for wide receivers. It's like, hey man,
the Colts ain't had no choice. He was their best weapon.
Exactly. It's so the deals also, let's not forget, are contingent as well on their value to that team. Pittman is one of their best players. You know,
if not, they're currently
right.
Well, outside of AR, he's their best player.
AR and Shaq. Shaq Leonard.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to pay him.
Shaq Leonard's not there anymore.
Oh no, Shaq Leonard's with the Eagles. So yeah, AR and him.
Yeah. So you got to pay him what his value is to your organization. You know what I'm saying?
Trent Baalke's joint was more egregious because Christian Kirk was a free agent. There was nothing. He didn't contribute nothing to the Jaguars prior to him getting there. So he was. So that's why that one's a little more egregious than Michael Pittman's. The Colts ain't had no option. It's just like, bro, that's your best player. You can't let him walk out the door. Like, you need him for AR's development to keep happening. But Trent Baalke's joint was egregious because it was like, bro, we saw like, okay, Christian Kirk was all right in Arizona, but he wasn't no.
No, he had one season,
million,
he had like 900 yards.
Yeah.
And we sat here on the air and named like 20 receivers better than him.
Oh yeah, we did.
It didn't even struggle.
Yeah, so it's that's the thing. It's like you can sit up and name, like Michael Pittman. Okay, I understand he's a value to his team, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like you can name probably a dozen receivers better than him, and half of that dozen got deals coming up, and you can't convince me that these guys not going to use that as a bargaining chip. That's what I'm saying. So the market gets reset every time somebody who's here gets paid like they here. And so, that's something to look at in the near future. But we are out of time. We are right at our hour point. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Don't forget, we are on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Facebook. We are on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
We are on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. We're going to start getting close to covering the draft soon. And we'll be fielding your questions about specific
scouting.
Specific players that are going into the draft and what you think, who do you think your team should draft, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And then 8 weeks before the preseason starts, we will begin our division by division breakdown with our predictions. So some of y'all, we kind of gave y'all some foreshadowing as to what we think of what's going to happen in some of these divisions.
Yeah.
But free agency is still going on. Even though we're on the waning side of it. And then the draft's coming up. So that's gonna make a big difference. So that's why we wait till that 8 weeks before the season starts before we decide to start making predictions. But this was a pretty good show. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm Pando 316, the good guy with the black hat. Over here is Tris TV. He showed up. I do not miss Trent Baalke. And then below me, right down there, is Steve White, Incognito, Hugh Kleffner. And we're just a fan podcast because we're just fans and you're just fans, and we want to talk about football. Make sure you tell a friend, hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube.
Yes.
We're trying to get our viewership up.
We appreciate
We're trying
y'all.
to get a Patreon eventually. So
Yeah.
make sure that you tell a friend and have, hey man, hit subscribe to these dudes' channel, man. They pretty good. Okay. But thank you and good night.